Take you over to the UK now. Police in London now investigating possible lockdown parties held at Downing Street. The Metropolitan Police Commissioner says Scotland Yard is in charge of the investigation. Prime Minister Boris Johnson's government has been under fire for allegedly holding events during the country's several lockdowns. CTV's Daniele Hamamdjian, she's standing by for us in London. She's been following this story for us. So the spiral continues, Danielle, with regards to this story.
It does.
Police now looking into parties at 10 Downing, including another alleged incident, this involving a birthday party and the Prime Minister. What can you tell us?
Well, this is now a criminal investigation. And if you've been following this story, certainly I have very closely, but in December, when the first gathering or alleged breach first surfaced, the Prime Minister's answer at the time was there were no parties. As more and more alleged breaches surfaced, then it became, well, I didn't know it was a party. And then last week, the answer was, well, nobody told me it was a party. I didn't know we were breaking the rules. Well, now it's in the hands of the Metropolitan Police. As you might also know, the alleged breaches were being investigated by a top civil servant named Sue Gray. That name has become quite popular in the UK. Profiles have been written about her. She is possibly the woman who may or may not decide the future of Boris Johnson's premiership. So at some point, she came across information that was significant enough to hand over to Metropolitan Police. Police saw this and said, okay, well, it passes the threshold and it now warrants a criminal investigation. Don't forget that there are police officers who work at Downing Street. There's CCTV. Who knows what is now in the hands of police, but it was enough for them to state that they are going to be investigating this. The highly anticipated report by Sue Gray, that top civil servant, was expected this week. It is now understood that that will be pushed by, who knows, a few weeks, a few months perhaps, but not before the Metropolitan Police release their findings, and that could take, again, weeks, if not months, Angie.
My goodness, but I have to say, if there's a gathering of people and there might be some food and a little celebration, I think it's a party. What more could we possibly be hearing from Boris Johnson today? Is he expected to speak?
He did speak just a few moments ago, and he did welcome this investigation, saying it's going to draw a line in the sand. There are different ways of reading this whenever Prime Minister welcomes a police investigation where he could be questioned, I should point out. You mentioned this birthday party. Well, this is the latest alleged breach that occurred this time in June 2020, still at the height of the lockdown, when social gatherings were limited to 2 people. The allegation is, well, I wouldn't say allegation because Number 10 has confirmed it did happen, that around 2 o'clock in the afternoon, Kerry Johnson, his then fiancée, surprised him with a cake and staff gathered to sing him happy birthday. Number 10 does not deny it happened, but there is discrepancy between the number of staff that were there. ITV News, local network here, are the ones who broke the story. They say around 30 people were there, including the interior designer of Boris and Kerry's flat, and they live upstairs. A reporter asked one of the ministers this morning, why is Boris Johnson at the height of a pandemic having conversations with his wallpaper consultant? And why was she there? Why was she invited into this gathering, which took place in the cabinet room? The cabinet, which is where they came up with all the rules that was being applied to everyone, everywhere in the country, but it seems possibly inside Number 10.
Yeah, and I go back to 30 is way more than 2. CTV's Daniele Hamamdjian following this story for us in London. Thank you so much for this, Danielle.